Hey friends, I hope the morning's treating you well. I hope you got your coffee. I got mine. Got it from a local coffee shop. I'm just outside of Indianapolis. Amy and I went out to do a little bit of hiking, and I figure I enjoy this recording stuff outside of the house. It's a good reason to get out of the house. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Maybe it gives you guys different scenery to look at. But it's been a good week. It's been a good, fun week. I'm finally getting caught up on sleep, and I've been uploading a lot of videos. I hope you guys have been enjoying those. And something that happened just yesterday or the day before, I forget, the days run together after a while. I got an email from somebody in John Prine's camp thanking me for sharing the Prine stories. It was after I uploaded the video of Mike Grimes sharing some memories of John Prine. And man, I love John Prine's music, and I had always heard these stories about just what a kind, generous person he was to be around, and so I enjoy throwing those stories out. Man, you know, I have the best intentions. I'm doing my best to just put positive things out into the world, you know, and this channel has been a nice place to do that. And you never know how people take it, but it's really nice knowing that they appreciate it, and I don't know, it felt really good. We all need those moments, and so a little pat on my back. And one thing that I really dig about this channel is as soon as I started talking about John Prine or sharing a story of somebody, you know, talking about John Prine, I think it was the Todd Snyder thing, the first thing maybe. When I shared that, just the people who commented on it were just the nicest damn people. Everybody came from this whole other, like a different place than a lot of the other stuff. Just a very positive energy and love, and I think that reflects on John Prine. And if you have, it's not always the way it is. You know, you talk about some folks, and it's you know, you don't get a lot of warm fuzzies from people coming out of the woodwork. But with the John Prine people, it's really good. So if you're one of those people that found me through John Prine, I hold you all in very high esteem, and I appreciate you being here. And I'm just feel weird saying that out loud about them contacting me, but it really, really felt good. You know, it really felt nice, and I think you guys understand where I'm coming from on that. And we got a lot of really, really good love from the Beatles stuff. And I guess I'm kind of winding down this Beatles thing, because it can't go on forever, but it's been really, really nice sharing Kevin's stories and just all of the people coming out of the woodwork. Lots of new people, new subscribers, all that, and then going back in and finding out about people like Jimmy LaFave, you know, and John Prine, and just a lot of other stuff. It's nice to see people coming in through the Beatles door and finding their way to Billy Joe Shaver and stuff like that. It makes me feel nice, and that's kind of, when everything's functioning properly, that's how it's supposed to function. So it's nice to see that working this week. A couple things that I wanted to say about the Beatles documentary, and I won't go too crazy. This is kind of surface level stuff, but a couple things that I noticed looking at it, that I think you guys probably noticed also. It's this snapshot of time of how we used to behave, how we used to live our day-to-day lives, and it's not always a good thing. But I remember watching John Lennon and his hair. You know, he looked like he hadn't had a shower. He looked like he never really showered, and I thought he looked really, really cool. But he had like the greasy hair, and it just looked really, really cool to me. It reminded me of this moment, even though I wasn't old enough at that time to realize. But I think of like the people in the 70s driving the Camaro and, you know, having that John Lennon hair and all that. And then there's one scene about 2 days before they go up on the roof where John shows up and his hair is really frizzy, and you could tell he washed his hair. It's the first time in this whole thing where he washed his hair, and he had this dry, frizzy hair that you would have if you washed it every day. It wasn't the same thing as him going without showers or whatever he was doing. And I just laughed, and it's really I don't know, it's really surface level and shallow of me, so I didn't mention it last week, but I thought about it a little bit throughout the week. And one thing I thought of I'm really hoping that some of the older viewers watching this can help me with this, but and stay with me here. Sometime back in the early 90s, I think, my old buddy Jerry, who I lived with in 49th and Melancholy. If you're out there, Jerry, I love you. I hope things are good with you. But we lived together for a while and friends, and hadn't seen him in a while. But his dad was a truck driver, and his dad died when he was really young. And one day he just told us, hey, my mom found my dad's overnight bag in the attic, and she gave it to me. He's going through it, and there's the stuff that a truck driver would have on the road in the 70s, early 70s, and just his deodorant or whatever, all that kind of stuff, his grooming stuff. And we looked in there, and there's this tube of this stuff called Groom and Clean, and we're like, what in the hell is that? So we start reading on it, and it's pretty much like a comb through shampoo, where people didn't shower every damn day. And if you're a truck driver and you're on the road, you can't. There's really not a lot of opportunities to, unless, I don't know if truck stops had showers back in the 70s. I don't know. Maybe they did. There's a lot of truckers that watch this. Tell me down below. But we were fascinated by it. I've always been fascinated. Like when I was 16, I thought certain old men were just amazing to me. I always looked forward to being an old man, because there's something that was cool about some of them. The idea of William S. Burroughs just seemed like there's something else going on there, even though there was a little more going on than I really wanted to know at the time. But there were some people that just seemed so cool, and I don't know, I kind of looked at it like that. So anyway, I'm getting off track a little bit, but this Groom and Clean, me and my buddies, we kind of became obsessed with it. We started buying that stuff, and the idea was you would comb this stuff through your hair, and it would clean your hair. It was some kind of a shampoo that you just like comb through, and you're supposedly clean. It smelled freaking great. When I think of what, there was a certain dad smell that was kind of this soapy, almost cologne smell that I can smell right now. Certain older cats when I was a little bitty kid, and I never knew what that smell was. And I think it was like one of these, Groom and Clean type products where you would comb it through your hair. And I started thinking, I bet you that's what John Lennon was doing. I bet you it wasn't just truckers. It was this holdover from the 50s and all that, and it might not have been the intention to grease, to be a greaser and grease your hair back, even though there's that scene where Paul McCartney suggests we ought to all grease our hair back for the concert. And then from that point on, his hair is kind of like back a little more, even though it's never full on Elvis, 50s kind of thing. Are you still with me here? I think a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of you are at the age where you used to use stuff like that, where you would, and maybe your parents did and you knew about it, but I didn't know about it. I never knew what that smell was and what it was. So there was this little period where we were obsessed, and you could still buy that. Maybe you could still buy all of that stuff now. Maybe it's really hip and I'm just a complete dumbass and I don't know. But that struck me. And I thought maybe that's what John Lennon was doing. Maybe that's what all of them. Back in 1969, people weren't showering every day. Now we're so much more obsessed with being clean, and when I'm in a taxi with somebody or when I'm in close quarters, I'm glad people shower every day, but that I thought of that. Tell me down below if you know what the hell I'm talking about, and if you know a hell of a lot more about that than me, which is not very hard. Tell me down below, and I'd like to hear about it. The next thing I thought of, this is just shallow cultural stuff from watching that documentary. That it just feels like a window into another time, which it is. But it's just like all of the smoking. I mean, indoors in a studio with no windows, no ventilation, and just everybody's smoking. And there's like 20 people in there. I just can't imagine that we ever thought that was normal. I can't imagine what it would be like to be the one non-smoker in there. And at that time, it would be culturally rude to, which is exactly what somebody should do. It's like, don't give me cancer from your smoke, you know. It's such a weird thing to see that. And it reminded me of how normal that was in my life. I've never been a smoker, but I've always been around smokers. I mean, always. My dad smoked like a chimney, indoors, you know, all day long. It's one of those deals where you've met this person, you know, you might be this person, but like be smoking and light a second cigarette without realizing they already had a cigarette lit, you know, just smoked a lot. And then when I got old enough to be playing in bars, you know, and I worked the door at the patio in Broad Ripple, it was smoky. Everybody was just, and it was normal to me. It really didn't bother me because I was always in it, and I would always smell like smoke. And I would have headaches the next morning and not really realize why, you know, but I was just so used to the smoke. My clothes, I would wash them and kind of like hold it up and it would still smell like smoke. I don't smoke, never have, you know. I smoked in, when I was like 16, me and my friends kind of all dabbled with some cigarettes, and I smoked a couple of theirs. I didn't have anything against it. I didn't particularly like it, you know, but I didn't have anything against it, and it was just kind of like, well, everybody's doing it, and it was my turn to buy a pack. And I remember going down to the village pantry to buy a pack of smokes. I don't remember what they were, $1.50, maybe $2 or whatever, but I just thought, oh my God, that's expensive. You telling me people pay that much money? And I just completely, it's like, I'm not going to spend this much money on smoking, and that was it. So my cheapness saved me from becoming a smoker, probably. I had no problem with it, didn't particularly like it, but we all do things at a young age that we don't particularly like. You know, I'm lucky I didn't do too much of that, but I don't know. So my cheapness saved me. I can only imagine what a pack of smokes costs now, but I'm getting off subject. The amount of smoke in that film, it looks cool, you know, that have that haze around. It looks good on camera, and but man, I can't imagine what that would be like. Once I stopped being in those kind of bars and I started playing more in listening rooms that didn't allow smoking, it's like I would spend, you know, a few weeks without going into the Smoky Rock bar or whatever. And when I would go back, it would destroy me. I mean, it destroyed me. The next morning, I just felt terrible, like somebody beat the hell out of me, all from breathing secondhand smoke the night before. And it wasn't normal anymore, so I guess I wasn't used to it. And a little secret about the smoking bans, I've known a lot of people who own bars or run bars, you know, work in bars, all that. All of those people were just dying for a smoking ban. They just didn't want to be the bad guys. They didn't want the customers to come in and give them a hard time. They wanted some government to shut it down so that they could be like, well, we're just doing what they told us, you know. But sometimes you can't say out loud what you think about it to your customers. I think that was one of those cases. But man, I'm getting way off subject here. The little window of them smoking constantly was really hard. I remember that made me think of what's the smokiest places I remember ever being. The Outback in Broad Ripple was a little bitty bar next to a very nice steakhouse, like a steakhouse where Peyton Manning would go, you know, eat at, and Reggie Miller, people with like a lot of money, big fans. But there was a little bar that would be open till 3 in the morning, and it's just really small. It was a little punk rock hangout, you know. It was our neighborhood punk rock hangout. It was a great hang, but God, was it smoky. It was really, really smoky. That was one place I can think of. And I can remember being on trains in Italy, and this is probably 17 years ago, and Amy and I were on a couple different trains, and people smoked left and right on the trains, and nobody would open a window, and it was really uncomfortable. And then I remember walking into a bar in Vienna, Austria. It was a neighborhood bar, maybe a pub or something, and walk in and it just looked so great. Like, yes, I want to hang out here with the working people, with the regular people. And Walked in, and just the amount of smoke was unbelievable. I mean, it was freaking everywhere and so thick. I lasted about 8 minutes. There was a line somewhere down around waist level where it was clear below that, and then everything above it was just thick smoke, and that was a bit much. And then the spring water was one of the last really smoky places I remember in Nashville, right there by the Parthenon. This is a place where Townes Van Zandt used to play, and it has a really cool history. It's really old, and a lot of neat people would play there. But also be like punk rock bands and rock bands. That's kind of what it, as far as I know, for quite a while, that's what it's been. I went over there to see some friends before, and it was just, I'm like, I have not been around smoke for so long, I cannot handle this. And that's the last really smoky place I can remember. What's the smokiest place you ever been to? You know, like Beatles type smoky. And I'm glad to be standing out here in a field and breathing fresh air and not smoke. But have you ever used Groom and Clean or any kind of product like that? What are the names of products like that? And I'm curious to hear that. I can smell it right now. It's a really great manly smell. It's just, I associate it with that. I associate it with me being 8 years old and like older, I don't know, tire mechanics, you know, truck drivers having that as they're going out to drink with their buddies in the smoky bar and have that smell about them. But and also, I don't know, man. I'm gonna try to keep uploading as much stuff as I can. It's gonna slow down here maybe around Christmas, maybe like around New Year. I don't know. I think it's gonna slow down, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I'm enjoying being home, and I guess I still need to tell you all about the tour. I've told you a little bit about it, but maybe I'll work on that for the next one. But I'm gonna go take a walk in the nice fresh air and try to not think about secondhand smoke, and I'm gonna drink my coffee. I'll talk to you guys soon. Much love to you.